when you go into a house with 15 sows in a group housing, you're counting on the quality of the workmen to really, really pay attention that they've really checked every one of the 15 as they're running around and doing things. And so, and you have very expensive systems for feeding. Now, the systems in the individual housing are also expensive, but they're even more expensive. So it isn't clear that, in fact, it is beneficial. And most of our sows are pretty mean. I mean, that's one of the places where Temple Grandin, who is the expert on animal behavior and animal welfare issues, you know, we've bred our chickens, or, excuse me, our pigs to be very lean, and with it comes the lean and mean. And the sows are pretty mean to each other. So again, one of the other reasons that farmers developed these systems was not somebody saying one night, I can figure out how to get good production and make the animal suffer. You don't get good production when you make an animal suffer. They came to this system because they found that by keeping each animal individualized, the animal did better. She gave more live births. She was calmer. She was properly fed. She wasn't overweight. She wasn't underweight. All of those things.
But she can't turn around.
Turning around gets her in trouble. That's exactly the point.
Let's say more about that.
She doesn't need to turn around. Why is turning around so important?
This is the thing that, I mean, even Jon Stewart recently did a thing on, gestation crates, and why don't they at least let the sows turn around, So we anthropomorphize and think, yeah, I wouldn't like to be in a place where I couldn't turn around, or I was stuck with 5 other people in a small cage. You're suggesting that that's just anthropomorphizing and that the cows, or the sows don't need to turn around.
We can look at behavior, we can look at outcomes. Can we get into her mind at this point, and the sows, of course, are all female, and say, oh, she really would really like to turn around. But in fact, we can do that in some cases. With chickens, that's been done. And it's very interesting. What you do is you train the chicken to peck a button, and they get a reward. Initially, you work with feed, so they get the idea that if they pick a button, that something happens good. And you find out how many times they'll pick a button to get something they really want. And so it's very clear, and that's one of the problems I will accept with cage layers, is that she will work very, very hard to get a private nest box. She wants to lay her eggs in privacy. And so she will peck and peck and peck to believe that eventually she will get what she needs. And so she will stay with it for quite a while on the cage, on the nest box. So that is one of the areas we've got to work on. Now, we have these enriched cages, and they do have nest boxes. But on the other hand, they have been designed with a lot of birds in them. So they're up to more like 50 and 60 birds, and we're now having problems with peck order stability, because maintaining peck order in a 50 or 60 bird operation for the birds themselves is much more difficult, because they don't really know each other as well, and so the peck order is much less stable, so they're always reestablishing peck order. So these systems are not actually giving quite the amount of production, even though we are giving her nest box. So we still need to experiment. I mean, again, I'm not saying factory farming is perfect. It's the best system we have generally on a scientific basis, because the farmers who are good farmers, who care about their animals, figured out how to make life better for their animals.